Welcome to One Tired Teacher, episode 194. How can the brilliance of arts integration transform your elementary classroom? I'm so excited to have a very special guest on the show today, and her name is Kathryn Patricia. She is quite an amazing person, and she has some really just fabulous information about integrating arts into your instruction. And I know you're going to want to check that out. Last week, I talked to another guest, and you heard Elizabeth Peterson was on the show. So if you didn't get a chance to listen to episode 193, then you're going to want to check that out as well, because the last two episodes have really been focusing on arts integration, and it just is so exciting. I felt fueled. Like, after having conversations with both of these special guests, I felt so rejuvenated and excited, because it's such an important part of learning, in my opinion, and I feel passionately about it. And I know you're going to love this episode just as much as I do. Hope you stick around.
Welcome to One Tired Teacher. And even though she may need a nap, this teacher is ready to wake up and speak her truth about the trials and treasures of teaching. Here she is, wide awake. Wait, she's not asleep right now, is she? She is awake, right? Okay. From Trina Debery Teaching and Learning, your host, Trina Debery.
Hey, so today we are talking about arts integration into your instruction and how to do that without feeling like it is an added extra thing to do. So I think that's really cool. And Kathryn talks specifically about like a work-life blend. I thought that was so interesting, as far as like doing something that you're passionate about that kind of blends into what you love. So it doesn't really feel like work. It feels like something that you enjoy doing. And for some of us, that's been teaching. And, we always talk about this work-life balance, and we want to make sure that we set boundaries. And I still think that's really important for teachers. But I also want to speak to teachers that feel like it's a part of their soul and it's something that they love. And then they want to do. And I think when you're, on the weekends, when we're supposed to be focusing on other things and other aspects of our person, I think that's important. I think we need to do that. But I also think it's okay if, for an hour or two, what brings you joy is creating a lesson or getting the materials together or something like that actually brings you happiness. I don't necessarily think grading papers brings us happiness, so stay away from those kind of tasks. But if it's something that like kind of blends into who you are, I think we have to be a little bit more mindful that does exist. That does in fact exist. I think I feel a little resentful sometimes because my work life blend was a little too much blended, and sometimes I used work as an escape from my life and what was going on in my house, and I dove in to all aspects of teaching, and I kind of wanted to use it as a way to get away from it. And then I almost felt betrayed by a system at the end, because it felt like they, used me and didn't care about me, and they would just continue to take from me. And I was sick, and I was getting divorced, and, all these things. And I felt angry. So I think we just have to be careful. So my point in sharing that is that we just have to be careful, because there were parts of it, and there still are parts of it that I love. Even doing what I'm doing now, creating materials for teachers to help support you so that you are able to teach in the way that you want to teach, and you're able to inspire students, to love learning, and you're also able to still participate in your life. Doing that work and knowing that it's impacting people, it means so much to me. And also sometimes I find myself on the weekends when I'm supposed to not be working, I find myself wanting to work. And so when Kathryn said that about the work-life blend, I realized it's okay. I don't have to beat myself up for wanting to work because it's something that I feel passionate about. It's something that I feel like honors who I am as a person. And so I can do those parts. I don't have to do the harder other parts. I don't have to, I don't have to edit the podcast. I don't have to do those kinds of things. I can create and do the part that I truly love. So I hope that makes sense. I hope that wasn't a ramble and that makes sense to you. All right, we're going to get on with the show. But before we do, I want to let you know that this episode is being supported by my Mastering Makerspace. If ever there was a time to incorporate Makerspace into your classroom, the time would be now. Our students are in desperate need of creativity, of communication, collaboration, and critical thinking. And this is a type of art. And that is the part that I love so much about it. We're able to take learners and allow them to express themselves in different ways. And Makerspace is one of those ways that takes all these different ways of thinking, all these outside of the box types of thinking skills, and brings it together. And I do have a course on Makerspace, on mastering it, so that you feel like you are not just jumping in and you feel like you know what you're doing and you are ready to take a classroom of unmotivated or even unhappy children and you're ready to make learning come alive, because that's what Makerspace can do. It is learning that comes alive. Makerspace is more than a single space inside a classroom or a school. Makerspace is a mindset that brings learning to life. With a step-by-step playbook, educators will create learning that focuses on innovation, creativity, critical thinking, collaboration, and community, while also differentiating instruction without breaking the bank and losing your sanity. So I want you to know you're not alone. This course is able to help you. It helps you ignite students' zone of genius. It gives you covers more standards with less time. I know that seems impossible, but that's the beauty of Makerspace. It also inspires creativity and critical thinking around literature, which is one of my very favorites. I had someone respond to one of my emails, and she was talking about, she was adding the R to STEAM, and she was making it stream. And I'm like, yes, reading. Woohoo. That was so exciting. So Mastering Makerspace is a step-by-step game plan of setting up a makerspace in your learning environment. There is video training that covers what a makerspace is, how to get your makerspace set up, how to get supplies funded, how to integrate content areas, and how to truly implement a meaningful, masterful makerspace into your learning environment. You will have full access to the course immediately, and this means that you can go at your own pace, plus you have lifetime access. You will master the makerspace mindset. You will determine the 7 components to creating a meaningful makerspace. You will discover the fundamentals to creating it, as far as the materials, how to get them donated, all those things. You'll explore the possibility of makerspace and all that it can do in your classroom. You will determine your why. Oh, have we sometimes feel like we have forgotten this? I do feel like we have sometimes. And so this will hopefully really help you with that. And you will also create a standards-based lesson plan for your makerspace. You will acquire the necessary tools and materials without breaking the bank. You will gain a firm understanding of how to integrate standards, and you will provide a safe learning environment for productive struggle. If you are ready to sign up, then all you have to do is hop on over to TrinaDebery.teachingandlearning.com and find Makerspace. I do have a free workshop that you can, or not a workshop, a free masterclass that you can attend, and that will give you all the information too of how you can sign up for Mastering Your Makerspace. Also, if you just Google Master Your Makerspace, you will find it. It is housed on Kajabi, and you can find it at trina-debery.mykajabi.com/mastering makerspace. So hopefully you will find that and you will consider incorporating that into your classroom. So now let's get on with the show. So I want to tell you a little bit about this amazing guest that I have. She is unbelievable person. When I was looking into her information, I was like, oh my goodness. She has a little video on YouTube. I'm going to link to it in the show notes. And she's really like, okay, so she's a performing artist. She's a composer and educator from Canada's capital region. She's a loop pedal violist. I think that's how you say it. She brings interactive concerts and workshops to schools and community centers and concert halls, both virtually and in person. So it's really amazing. So she has this little video, this little promo video, and it's really cool. So I think you should definitely check it out. And yeah, it's really exciting. And I love this episode. I had the best time with her. I'm going to tell on myself because I was so embarrassed by this. So we had, set up a time to come. It was supposed to be my time at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we have the date, we have the time. I realized I didn't email her days in before to remind her. I usually do that with my guests, but because it was on a Monday, it kind of got slipped away from me. So I wrote her in the morning just to remind her, really like kind of earlier in the morning. I reminded myself 2:00. I got it. Well, I had a meeting from 12 to 1 and I was on that meeting, and then all of a sudden I'm like, I gotta go. I have an interview. I have to get off. So I get off and I get on the Zoom call and I'm waiting for Kathryn, and I'm like, where is she? And so I, wait my normal 15 minutes, and I'm like, I guess, she didn't come. This has happened before where people just don't come sometimes. So I was like, oh, I felt annoyed, which is ridiculous because life happens. But I did feel like, and I'm like, oh, she didn't come. So I got to work on some other things. And then all of a sudden I get this notification, and it's an email, and she's like, I guess our wires got crossed. Now she was so kind. I was it was 1:00 when I was waiting for her. 1:00. That was an hour before she was supposed to be there. So it is now 2:30, and she's kindly emailing me to see, what happened. And I'm now late. I'm like, oh my gosh, your interview is at 2. No wonder you weren't there. And I felt so bad. I don't know. I felt so bad. You know how sometimes when you're kind of grouchy and you immediately kind of blame another person for something? That's what I was doing. And I was so disappointed in myself. And I almost asked her if we could reschedule because I really wanted to go to the gym. And I'm like, no, I need to just do this. She's been waiting for me. Like, this is crazy. So I get on, and it was such a good conversation. It was one of those conversations that motivates me, inspires me, fuels me, excites me. I spent the whole rest of the day happy because it actually makes me feel emotional because I got a chance to speak to someone who speaks my language and totally understands how important it is to integrate all of these different arts for kids so that kids can feel inspired and truly love learning. And it makes me feel emotional. So I am so thankful that she had so much grace and that I pushed past my grouchiness and had this conversation because I think it's important. I hope you enjoy it as well. Let's get on with the show. I'm so excited to have my special guest, Kathryn Patricia, here today to talk specifically about including arts in your instruction. So this is going to be a very special conversation because Kathryn is you are unbelievable. Like, all the things that you are doing are really incredible. So I'm really excited to have you. Welcome.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Trina. It's so nice to be here and be on the podcast.
Yeah, I saw watched your little YouTube thing, which I'll link to in the show notes. And I was thinking, oh my goodness, this is so great. And I just love it. I'm so excited. So tell us a little bit about yourself and how you kind of got into this thinking.
Yeah, thanks so much. So I am in the capital region of Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. And so I describe myself as a musician, composer, and an educator. And growing up, the way I had gotten into music was the rule in my house is that we all had to play an instrument. My parents are from the Caribbean, and that was something that they had not had the opportunity to do. And so they really wanted my sisters and I to be able to learn music. And so I started my musical studies at the age of 5, actually, on piano.
Oh,
But for some,
wow.
yeah. And so for some reason, though, my 5-year-old brain couldn't comprehend the playing one thing in one hand and then doing something else with the other. And so I think it was about right before I was 6, my dad had asked, do you want to try the violin? And I didn't even know what a violin was. But I thought, what, let's give it a try. And that started me on my musical journey. And I think even though I was captivated by the instrument, and later on, I switched to the viola, which is like a bigger version, but a lower sound.
Hmm.
Though I was captivated by the sound of string instruments, I think the thing that really compelled me to go forward in my musical studies was actually community. As a bowed string instrument player, oftentimes you start one-on-one with lessons, and then you move to group class, and then you move to orchestra, and then string quartets and playing chamber music. And it was really just the connection with others that really propelled me forward. But
Oh,
before I even had started as a musician, I loved the arts. I loved being a visual artist. And there was just something about, when I was a young kid, I was always fascinated by being able to captivate the world around me through my own eyes.
mm.
And what does that look like? And
Yes.
so that was something that had started even before my musical journey. And as I've gone on through school and as a professional in the field, something that I've always asked the question was, what does it look like to blend the two together, to find that liminal space between the two? And that has led me on an adventure into the world of music performance and arts education and doing multidisciplinary work.
Yes. Wow. That's incredible. That's so exciting how we can take something and completely look at the world in a different way. And I think it's so important for us to do that for our students because they need to see that not everything is this one linear way or this one way that we unfortunately I feel like we're doing in schools right now. It's very, if you don't think like this, then you are not going to succeed and you're going to have a hard time. And if you don't plan this exact path, then the world is not for you. And it's hard and frustrating. And I think there's so many paths and so many ways to look at the world in a different way. And I love the idea of integrating this into our classrooms or into our instruction so that we can give students a taste of what life can be like. And if you are musically inclined or you are, dramatic or you are any of those things that sometimes we don't see right away.
Yes, you're exactly right. And actually it was something that you had said. It was the podcast, I think it was 170 that you had done with your daughter. Oh my goodness. It was just so beautiful to be able to hear and be, kind of a fly on the wall for that conversation. I think you were talking
Thank
about
you.
multiple intelligences, and
Hmm.
I loved learning about that as well because we're all coming to the table with different capacities. And if we
Yes.
approach education from a holistic standpoint and invite all those areas in, then it's not just we're not siloing, our students. And I just feel like the arts just has a beautiful way for students to come to the table and just to be creative, to be able
Yeah.
to express in ways that resonate with them, that celebrate their own life stories.
Yes. No, I love that. I love that. I did. And that was such a fun conversation with my daughter and so eye-opening, even for me, even though she lived with me most or all of her life until she moved out. But I mean, it was so eye-opening. But thinking back at some of those things, and when that's what I really focused on. And when I got my master's was multiple intelligence. And my experience getting that degree was outstanding. Like I finally felt like I found my people. And because that's all we were doing was looking at different ways of learning and realizing that there's so many other aspects to a person and to learning. And I remember having this one student, because I used to do these thing called smart stations, where I would set up different areas in the room and we would focus on like each, individual intelligence. And then we would do this whole metacognitive thing about like, what do I find myself going to do more? And where do I need to stretch myself? And those kinds of conversations, which was really exciting with 7-year-olds. But I had a student who was definitely a mover. Like he was constantly moving. And I realized when we did these smart stations that he was really drawn to music and dancing. And he wasn't just moving, like moving a lot. He was actually like dancing. And then he
Oh,
would
that's
do,
amazing.
yes, and he would do these like Michael Jackson dances. And he was adorable. He was so, and I'm like, this is the way he wants to express what he knows. Like, I need to allow him. And so I would let him like create iMovies and he would create things. Yes. And he was like, oh, it's so fun. And to see kids that maybe another teacher might have thought this person's a little disruptive because they move a lot and they're really busy and they're active and they like to talk. And I'm like, but that's not, we can't just hold them to that one thing. If we create an environment where he has to sit still the whole entire day and just do this activity, then he is going to get frustrated, and it may look like misbehavior to you. However, this is the way he thinks. And this is the way he needs to be able to express himself. So, I mean, obviously, couldn't do that every single time, but I really tried hard to incorporate as much as I could because kids need different outlets. And it was so fun to watch him. He was just so like a light in the classroom.
Oh, I love that. That's so incredible. And I feel like that brings up, we are in such an interesting time, not just for our students, but as professionals as well,
Mhm.
um, being in that pandemic period of having to work from home and having to, figure out how to do things differently. I think that for a lot of people, we've kind of switched from a work life balance to a work life blend. And what does it mean to bring all parts of
Mhm.
ourselves? And our
Mhm.
students need the same freedom. When we talk about multiple intelligence, I love that story. And for that student to be able to, if they like to move, to be able to do an assignment where they can do an iMovie, and that's celebrating, the parts of them that are
Mhm.
amazing, right? And
Yes.
I feel like when we are able to have this holistic approach to learning, particularly when we look at the arts and having a multidisciplinary approach, it
Mhm.
really caters to that. And so thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that idea of work-life blend. I actually have never heard that before.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting because when we think about that, even with kids, I think often we don't give them the experiences to try on, different kinds of behavior or different kinds of ways of doing things. They don't even know. Like you said, you learned an instrument at 5, and not all children have that opportunity, sadly. I mean, I used to beg my mom for piano lessons. I wanted to play the piano so much, and even ballet lessons, and she wouldn't let me. I got to play soccer, woohoo, but which I hated. But I think that sometimes they don't even know if they like it. And when you think about not just separating the things that you love from your work, but actually doing the thing you love as your work, like you're also getting paid for your I'm a huge fan of Sir Ken Robinson. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He has passed away, but it was just a genius talking about school reform and talking about integrating arts and talking about finding your element. That was the thing he talked about. It was like the thing that you're really good at, but also that you can, prosper and make your life or career. And I thought, I love that idea because then there's also that gives kids more purpose. They kind of think to themselves, oh, this is something that even if it's video gaming, like
Yeah.
it's something that they can do. And they feel like, okay, I can learn more about, thinking like that. I don't know. I think that's interesting.
Oh, I love that. Finding your element. Oh, that's so good.
Yeah,
That is
he's written several books. That's one of them. It's called
okay.
The
Yeah.
Element. Yes,
Okay.
he's actually one of the most watched TED Talks that ever existed. So he does several different ones about like school reform and like how we need to change the school system. He was an incredible human being.
Oh,
So you
I
should
love
check him
it.
out.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much. And I feel like that just reminds me when we think about the creative process, when we are asking students to engage in that, the thing that we're celebrating is the journey and not the end result. And I
Yes.
think that that is what ultimately that's what
Yes.
we want. And like you said, a lot of students, they don't get the opportunity to find out, what are the ways in which they learn best, the ways that the things that we want to celebrate about them. And I feel
Yeah.
like the creative process just opens that door for students to explore and be really curious.
I think so too. I agree. I think the process over the product is a huge thing that we need more of, that we need to see, and we need to allow kids to work through the process. And sometimes that means learning how to like fail, learning how to what happens when you fail. Like that's another, it's just another teaching moment. So this is something I'm going to try. I'm going to do it differently in this iteration. And so I think that process I think it's so important. So, okay. So talk a little bit about ways that teachers can do that, can use music and visual arts to really practice, fuel, more creativity in their students. Like I'd like to hear a little bit about that.
Yeah, definitely. The first thing that I would say before even thinking about engaging in the classroom, it's this idea of putting on our mask first. And the thing I like to think about when working with teachers is to remind them that at the very first part of it, they themselves are artists. And I think that can be a really hard thing for us to
Mm-hmm.
embrace the creative side of ourselves, even if you think of yourself as more of a math or science brain. There's creativity in that. And for
Mm-hmm.
students to embrace that identity of themselves as being creative, themselves as being an artist, and actually being able to explore those exercises. And so something that I like to do, both with teachers, and then there's an adapted version for students, is this like for them to kind of develop their own artist statement. And there's one by a woman. She's a coach for musicians. Her name is Angela Beeching, and I had seen her blog about this, and we had chatted about it a little bit. And it's this idea, she developed an artist statement Mad Lib. So it's kind of fun, to be
Uh-huh.
able to put fun words in it. But the first part of that, I would say, is actually looking at, how do we put on our mask first? How do we see ourselves as being creative
Mhm.
before even thinking about inviting our students into that? The
I
second
love
part,
that. No, I
yeah,
love
oh,
that.
fun. Oh,
I
yeah.
do. I think that is because you're right. And very often we feel like I mean, you specifically reminded me of many times I tried to draw in front of my students because I knew I had visual students and that they needed to see things. And I'm such a bad drawer. And I would say that I'm such a bad drawer. And they're like, they love what you do, so they don't care. But
Yeah.
I think one of the lessons in that is, first of all, like, let me look at myself in a different way. Let me show you what it looks like when I do struggle with something, but I'm going to do it anyway because
Yeah.
I want to share with you, and I can be vulnerable and I can make mistakes, and my dog can look like a horse, and, and so things were going to be all right. And so then they feel like they too can step into that. So when you put your own mask on, and you look at yourself as a creative person, because some people don't think of themselves as creative. But I think
Yeah.
if we limit ourselves, just like if I'm to say I'm a bad speller, I don't want to say that to my students because I want to have like an open mind about it. I want a growth mindset. I don't want to just, I'm declaring I'm a bad speller. I want to say, I'm not there yet. I'm working on that. But the same thing with yourself as a creative person, because there's so many avenues of creativity, even in math and
Yes.
science, and a
Yeah.
lot in math and science. Actually, when you think about like the engineering design process and you think about these things, I'm like, there's a lot of creativity to that kind of thinking. So I would disagree that that's not creative.
Yeah, I think that, and that's where we see so much crossover, between all of our subject matter.
Hmm.
And if we can start with that identity of us all being creative, that
Hmm.
helps us to engage. And like your student, the student who loves to dance and to move, that's their outlet. And it's another student, it'll look different. But
Yes.
setting that mindset for yourself, and like you noted, through your own example, is that when we do that for ourselves, we actually set a container of safety and vulnerability for our students. And
Mm-hmm.
that really invites them to do the same. And
Yes.
so that's something that I have just seen. It's the thing I love the most is kind of seeing people step into that identity. And I think it just can be so beautiful. The second thing I would say is, following our curiosity, but
Mm.
also having the idea of being brave as our anthem. And I really
Mm.
love that, particularly when I work with students who are kind of getting into that grade 4 to middle school
Uh-huh.
grades, is that's when you start to be a little bit self-conscious about yourself,
You're
and
right.
that can be hard for some students to engage in the arts, because at that point they might already have set identities.
Mhm.
I'm someone who's good at soccer, or I'm someone who's really good at reading. And so being able to have being able to invite students to follow their curiosity, but then also say, hey, you know what, when we're entering into something new, that is actually that's something that takes bravery, and we actually need to
Absolutely.
trust ourselves. And so how do we set that tone for our students when they're engaging in the arts in the
I
classroom?
think that allows the room to feel safe. So I think that, and when you're, and also you're really focusing on social and emotional learning at that point, and when you're talking about that and bravery, and I just bought, and I have it sitting here. I'm going to grab it. It's called Brave Every Day. It's Trudy Ludwig, which, have you seen this? It's brand new.
No, I love
Yeah,
it.
she wrote The Invisible Boy, which is another
Okay,
beautiful
yes.
story. And this is a story about a girl and how she has to be brave. And it's so good. So I think that's so funny that you say that right after I read this book, like yesterday. I
Oh, fun.
opened it up yesterday and I'm like, I love this. So I love that idea. So we want to follow our curiosity and we want to be brave, because sometimes it's scary, but I feel like those scary moments are when we really need to do it the most.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. And it's beautiful because then teachers are able to go on a journey with their students. I mean, all learning is a journey, really,
Yeah.
but I feel like it just sets them on this pathway. And no matter what kind of activities that you're doing, if that's the kind of container, if you will, that you're working with, I feel like you really are setting up a space where students feel like they can try out different things, they
Mhm.
can make mistakes, and then pivot from them. And really, when we think about innovation, that's all that is. It's that testing and changing.
Yes. Yes. I was just thinking that. I'm like, that's opening up for when you are doing things like testing and revising, which is a part that we often skipped in the classroom because we feel like we're so rushed and we don't have time. But that's like where the magic happens. So we can't skip that time. We have to allow them to test and revise and learn from that and continue to make iterations to the solutions that they have come up with. Because I think it's so important. And when you do that, when you create this environment where they feel like they're okay, I'm going to do this because I want to be brave, then they're more likely to be all right with making mistakes and to keep trying.
Yes, yeah. Oh, 100%. And
Yeah.
along with that, if we can create ways for our students to document their journey, I feel like
Mm,
that helps them to see that progression. There's a
yes.
workshop that I do. It's called Sound in Living Color. It's a music inspired workshop. But my favorite thing about the workshop is not actually the end result of the painting. So it's like
Mhm.
this music inspired experience, but it's actually going through and how the students are able to share their painting at different stages. So they're
Oh,
able to say, this is what I'm trying out, and I'm using this brush stroke and these colors. And then it becomes a dialogue. And then, one student might see another student do something and they think, oh, that's really cool. I want to try that in my own work.
yes.
And then it becomes this creative process that they're all engaging in together. So finding different ways for students to document the journey can
Yes, I
really
love
help
that.
them in that
So that
progression.
they can see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the workshop? Say the name again. I missed the title.
Yeah. So it's called Sound in Living Color, and it's a
Oh,
music inspired painting workshop. So during it, and I do it both online and in person here in Canada, and it's one of those. So I talk about how I use my viola bow, how I play. I compare it to how you use the paintbrush, and what are some of the ways that are similar between the two. So it's this music inspired painting experience, and I'm playing live with the participants, and then I'm
mm,
also asking them to listen to the music and to think about, how does the music make them feel? And for that workshop, the one question that I ask students is that if they could go anywhere in the world, where would they go? And that becomes the main focal point for their
Yes.
landscape painting. Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. Okay. So I definitely want to link to, can people have access to this? I mean, can they sign up and
Yeah, they
participate?
can. Yeah, so I'm on an artist roster in Canada called Multicultural Arts in Schools and Communities, and so it's
Mhm.
offered through that, and so we can. Yeah, I can definitely give you the
Okay.
link for
So
that.
just if you will share with me links, and then I
Yeah,
can add them to the show notes so people can easily
perfect.
find you and are not searching all over the place. Because
Yeah,
I think this sounds so good, and I know it would be very beneficial to many teachers. And I am actually thinking, like, do you have an age limit? Like, I think I would like it myself.
oh no, I do this for all ages, from like
Yeah.
JK to seniors to adults. Yeah, so
Okay, because
yeah.
I mean, what a beautiful sound and living color. I love that. And also,
Mhm.
I love the idea of like documenting. And again, I told you I have lots of work to do in like the whole drawing part. I do think I'm creative in other ways, but that's a struggle. But I mean, I still think it's really cool to try it. And I was thinking also when you were sharing like different ideas for documenting, one of the things that I love to use in the media center when I was a media specialist and not in the classroom anymore was Padlet. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
Okay, so it's a technology, like it's a site that you go on, but you can create like a page, and then students can post like their picture of
Oh,
like the stages of this, and then you can have them comment on each other's, and they have to respond to however many people's, because you want that collaborative element
yes.
to occur. And then and so they could just continue to update like the different stages of the process.
That
I just think that would be really cool. Padlet is one, and another one
Padlet.
that Padlet, Padlet. And then another one that I think would work really well with that is Flipgrid. Have you heard of that?
Okay, I have,
Yeah.
but I haven't used it, so I
Yeah.
should.
That's fun. And you
Yeah.
can do more video with that. But Flipgrid is also really fun and kids love that. So I think those are just two that come to my head automatically. I'm like, oh, this would be so exciting.
Yeah, that's so fun. When
Yeah.
you were thinking of when you were talking about your own self and creativity, because it was great to read a bit more about your journey on your website. I mean, you've crafted this amazing creative career, when you think about starting in the classroom with grades 1 and 2, and then going to media, and then how you brought it all full circle. Like, if that
Um,
isn't like such a creative journey, I don't know what is. And so I just feel like
thank
you
you.
are living that. So through the work that you're doing and supporting others and finding that for themselves. So
Well, thank you.
yeah.
Thank you for saying that. It's been definitely been a unique experience, and I had to be brave the whole entire time.
Yes,
And I
yeah.
haven't felt brave all the time, but I used to have like a motto where I was like, what was it? Do it even if you're scared. Do it if you're scared, do it anyway. Do it if you're scared. Do it scared. Just do
Yes.
it. So I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was so, I'm like, I had to look at it all the time. I can't believe it's not coming right to my mind. But it was really powerful. Like sometimes you have to do it scared, and that's okay. You move forward. And I think that's important. No, I love this. I love what you're doing. I think what you're doing is so important. And I really hope that we can finally see the value in things like this, because I think they're so crucial. And our students, they need engaging activities. They need for learning to come alive. They need to feel it in different ways, or we're going to lose them.
Yeah.
I've watched so many children struggling to come in the door, and I'm like, no, 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 we have to celebrate them. We have to do it differently. We cannot continue down this same boring standardized path.
Mm-hmm.
So
So
I
yeah, that reminded me of something you had said at the episode 170, where I think your daughter was saying that she witnessed a student, always wanting to tell you about their evening or
yes,
tell you that
yes,
story. And I
yes,
just thought that was so cute. But you know what? That shows that student felt safe. That
yeah,
student felt seen and known. And that's what we need in the classroom, right?
absolutely.
And
We
I just
absolutely
feel like
do.
it's being able to find different ways for students to express themselves in ways that resonate.
Yeah, I agree. They definitely need to be seen and known, and they need to feel like you understand. or at least if you're not, you're willing to hear. You're willing to hear more. And I don't feel like that's talked about enough anymore. And we're not paying attention to that. But and the whole thing with behavior, it would eliminate those problems if kids actually felt seen and heard. It would eliminate those. They would feel connected to you on a different level. They would perform in a different way. It just makes all the difference. So anyway, thank you. Thank you so much, Kathryn. Where can people find you?
Yeah, if you are on social media, and you can find me on Instagram at Kathryn Patricia Violist. I'm on Facebook at KP Violist. And then if you wanted to check out my website and some of the projects and resources that I have for the classroom, you can go to kathrynpatricia.com.
Yeah. Okay. And you're going to give me all the links, and I'm going to put them on the show notes, so no one has to like type that really fast. You can just click right to it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you have some incredible things, because you're doing some amazing work. So thank you. Thank you for your contribution and for what you're doing in the world.
Oh, thank you so much. And I'm so glad that this worked out. Yeah.
Me too. Yeah. Me too. Oh, I told you, isn't she so great? I just felt like I love these ideas. Put on your own mask. I love this. See yourself as the creative person that you are. And then even the artist statement, I think that's so cool. And follow our curiosities. Be brave. So powerful. So powerful. Just the whole thing. I think the whole thing was so good. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I do. And if you're thinking about integrating arts, go check out Kathryn's stuff. Also, if you are thinking about incorporating Makerspace into your learning environment and you think now is your time, then go check out Mastering Makerspace and see if that would be something that you would enjoy. Until next time, my friend, sweet dreams and sleep tight.